Chapter 73: Monsters, Ninjas, and Jews. Karasor. Do what thou wilt shall be the whole the law. As you say, every man and every woman is a star. Does need some attention to the definition of man and woman. What is the position, you say, of monsters and men of inferior races, like the Veda, Hottentot, and the Australian blackfellow? There must be a line somewhere, and will I please draw it? You make me feel like O.T.O. There is one remark which I must make at the beginning. It's some poet or other, Tennyson or Kipling, I think. I forgot who, that wrote, quote, folks in the loop is bad, end quote. It is true all round. Someone wisely took note that the vilest man alive had always found someone to love him. Remember the monster that Sir Frederick Treves picked up from an East End peep show and had petted by princesses? What a cunning trick. Revolting all the same, to read his account of it. He, the monster, not Treves, seems to have been a most charming individual. Ah, that's the word we want. Every individual has some qualities that endear him to some other, and per contra, I doubt if there is any class which is not detestable to some other class. Artists, police, the clergy, Reds, fox hunters, Freemasons, Jews, heaven-born, women's club heaven, especially in the USA, Methody, golfers, dog lovers. You can't find one body without its natural enemies. It's right. What's worse, every class, as a class, is almost sure to have more defects than qualities. As soon as you put men together, they somehow sink, cooperatively, below the level of the worst of the individuals composing it. Collect scholars on a club committee, or men of science on a jury. All their virtues vanish, and their vices pop out, reinforced by the self-confidence which the power of numbers is bound to bestow. It is peculiarly noticeable that when a class is a ruling minority, it acquires a detestation as well as a contempt for the surrounding mob. In the northern states of the USA, where the whites are overwhelmingly in number, the ninja can be more or less a regular fellow. In the South, where fear is a factor, lynch law prevails. Should it? The reason for no is that it is a confession of weakness. But in the North, there is a very strong feeling about certain other classes: the Irish, the Italians, the Jews. Why? Fear again. The Irish in politics, the Italians in crime, the Jews in finance. But none of these phobias prevent friendship between individuals of hostile classes. I think that perhaps I have already written enough, at least enough to start you thinking on the right lines. And mark well this: the submergence of the individual in his class means the end of all true human relations between men. Socialism means war. When the class moves as a class, there can be no exceptions. This is no original thought of mine. Stalin and Hitler both saw it crystal clear. Both, the one adroitly, the other clumsily, but with equally consummate hypocrisy, acted it out. They picked individuals to rule under their autocracy, killed off those who wouldn't fit, destroyed the power of the trade unions or Soviets while pretending to make them powerful and prosperous, and settled down to the serious business of preparing for the war which both knew to be inevitable. It is this fundamental fact which ensures that every democracy shall end with an upstart autocrat. The stability of peace depends upon the original idea which aggrandized America in a century from 4 millions to 100: extreme individualism with opportunity. Our own longest period of peace abroad, bar frontier skirmishes like the Crimson War, and prosperity at home coincided with free trade and laissez faire. Now we may return, refreshed, to the main question of monsters, real like Treves, or imaginary, like Jews and ninjas? Why should the classes want to act as classes? It's obvious. Union is strength. The worst 15 can do more with a football than the best opposing team of one. Excuse my Irish. Well, what tortoise is that elephant based upon? Why, still, obviously, upon the universal sense of individual weakness. We all want a big brother to tell of him. Hence the gods of the classes. It's fear at the base of the whole pyramid of skulls. How right politicians are to look upon their constituents as cattle. Anyone who has any experience of dealing with any class as such knows the futility of appealing to intelligence, indeed, to any other qualities than those of brutes. And so, whenever we find one man who has no fear, like Ibsen's Dr. Stockman or Mark Twain's Colonel Granger, that strolled out on his balcony with his shotgun to the face of the mob that had come to lynch him, he can get away with it. An enemy of the people, wrote Ibsen. Ye are against the people, O my chosen, says the book of the law, Al, chapter 2, verse 25. Not only does it seem to me the only conceivable way of reconciling this and similar passages with every man and every woman is a star, to assert the sovereignty of the individual, and to deny the right to exist to class consciousness, crowd psychology, and so to mob rule and lynch law, but also the only practicable plan whereby we may each one of us settle down peaceably to mind his own business, to pursue his true will, and to accomplish the great work. So never lose sight for a moment of the maxims so often repeated in one context or another in these letters, that fear is at the root of every possibility of trouble, and that fear is failure and the forerunner of failure. Be thou therefore without fear, for in the heart of the coward virtue abideth not. Good night, and don't look under the bed. Love is the law. Love under will. Yours fraternally.